Everybody, okay, so now we're going to look at Spectrum. Spectrum is really different because the data is really ugly. And it has a really long thing here that we're going to use. So let's just go ahead and minimize this. I don't know what this means. The person I got this from gave me this, but that's okay. We're going to just go with it. So we need a new class. So we'll call this a new Python file. And sorry, it's been quite a long day, so let's see how far we get before we call it quits. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just pop this right here because I'm going to need it eventually. All right, and let's see, what do we want? Well, first we need a class, right? So we'll call it get data from Spectrum. Okay, and this is just which is going to be an empty class. So we're just going to do this, and we'll do that. We'll go ahead and initialize it, which is fine, and we're just going to pass here. Now, for our first method, it's going to be we're going to stick with our theme. Yep, perfect. Get Spectrum underscore data, though. Yeah, just make sure we don't have any names of the same. And we don't want this to be self. We want this to be settings. Okay. All right. So a new thing came up is to loop through landscapes, and we're going to do that tomorrow. Okay. So that's complaining because your first and only part of this cannot be a comment. So let's go ahead and do our appendus. So we'll go over here. We'll steal some of this. We're going to need a request and appendus, and we're probably going to need, I don't think we're going to use Json, but let's go ahead and do this. And let's go ahead and grab this because we're going to need a logging and a try. So, let's go ahead and do that. Technically, this should have been down here. Okay. We need to bring in our custom logging. Come on. Give me my ear. Okay. There's a shortcut for that. I think it's Command I, but I'm doing that so you can see what I'm doing. Now here we need an exception. So let's just go down here and grab this. And we are going to return, but let's just live with what we got for right now. And now get, let's just get rid of all this. Get Spectrum data. Okay, good enough for now. There we go. Now I don't have my glasses on. My eyes are getting kind of blurry, so sorry. We need to get our settings. So let's go ahead and just copy that. Okay. Get Spectrum. Okay, and of course that wants to be brought in. So let's go ahead and grab it. And this is no longer DA. This is going to be Spectrum. So dot. Now, it's this way on purpose because what if you're, obviously your DA is going to have a different link, so it should also have possibly a different username and a different password. So if you remember in the file, we had those as separate. Where's our file? Right here. So we have our Spectrum data, has username and password, and our DA, or PM, has a separate password. But our target path should still be the same, so we're good there. Okay, so now what do we want to do? So now we want to create a list. Okay. And in that list, we want to, future-wise, so let's do this. Get landscapes. Okay, and again, we'll do this tomorrow. Sorry, little doggy sneezed. Now, what do we want to do? Yeah, I think it's fair. We probably should maybe go ahead and do the landscapes because I'm going to reference it quite a lot. So let's do that. There's no reason why we can't go ahead and do that. So settings, new file. This is called LAND, LAND, escapes. And this is part of, I'm going to put my glasses on. This is part of Spectrum. So I think it's called landscapes, right? So what we've got to do is a couple of things. I have a list of landscapes, but let's just grab a few, maybe. A landscape looks like this, 0x, I think it's 1000. And then this one is, we'll just do 2000. Okay. And I'm sorry, let's make this a txt file just to give it some type of reference. So we'll say landscapes.txt. Okay, there we go. And we'll come back and fill these in later because I have a notepad with those in it. So we'll just do that. Now, but what we need to do though is feed that into here. So I started that before, so you'll see it there. Settings, landscapes.txt. I guess I should just copy that, but that's okay. Did that actually do what I wanted to? Let's go to refactor. Let's go open it in Finder. Settings. No, it did not. So let's do it here. Rename.txt. Okay. And add. Okay, there we go. So now it's a text file. Yep. So now that it's over there, do we have that? If you remember, to get this, we have the repo. And in our repo, do we have one for landscapes? We do. Okay, so I'd already planned for it anyway. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and close that. And here, what we want to do, though, is we want to get our landscapes here. So let's move it back up to here. And we'll say, let's do it down here. Just keep it clean. Landscapes, we want to say get landscapes equals I'm not sure how we want to do this. Let me think for a second. Actually, we're going to loop through it, right? So let's go and create another repo. So we'll just call this one landscapes repo. And so again, I don't like shortcuts, even though I say repo, it should say repository. Okay, that's fine. And then in here, well, we want a class, obviously, and it's class. I don't mind the class and repo because you're going to reference it from above. And again, I've said it a million times, I don't use camel cases and classes, even though that's the best practice, because I like for those to be public facing if it's camel case, and these are not public facing. So we're going to go ahead and initialize with a self, and we're going to pass on our initialization. And in our first method, we want to get our landscapes from file. Now, to me, it's very important to let's be consistent settings. It's very important, even though if you have long names, your long name should make sense of what it's doing. So we're getting the landscapes from the file. Now, first thing I'm going to start with is a try. Okay. So let's just go we want to always start with a log and a try. So let's go ahead and grab these two. Okay. And here, this is going to be get landscapes from files. Fine. Okay. We need to bring that in. Import. And now we need to add our exception at the end. Okay. So we'll grab this. We'll put that there. Okay. It lined up beautifully for us. So that's good. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure we got to bring in our repo, right? So from helpers.settings import settings repo. Okay, so that would give us the link to that. And then over here, what we're going to do is get landscape path equals, let's see, equals settings repo dot get landscapes, and this will be passing in our settings. Okay, so that should bring us back our path to that file. Okay, and again, it's just going to be right now. It's just going to be in our settings here, along with our property file. So, but in theory, you could take this file and point it anywhere you want to. Okay, now what's next? Let's go ahead. Is it locked up? No. Okay, just making sure. So after that, we need to check to see if it exists. So if path equals empty, I guess none, but since it's a string, that would work. Oh, cool. It knows my logging. Cool. Okay, so if, and again, that's part of the AI piece because it remembers what you've done, right? And it knows, it recognizes, oh, you like to do it this way. So that's kind of where that puts it. So we're going to do this in a basic baby way. We're just going to create another list. Where did that come from? Oh, that came from our copy and paste. Okay, so we need to get a list of our lines, right? So we'll do the old-fashioned way, open landscapes with. That's fine as a landscape file. The only thing is we want to be careful because it is going to be that path, but I want to make sure that we bring it in as a read because we're not writing to it. And we want to be careful that it's encoded just in case you go from a Windows machine to a Mac or a Linux. Sometimes Windows like to add crap to that, right? So we're going to do it that way. And then what we can do is just do our results. Oh, what happened? I don't want that. Results. We'll call it result equals landscape read lines. But I'm going to do a little bit different. I want to split. So we're going to read files. Dot. It's easier to do a split on just a read, not a read lines. Stop doing that. Is read capitalized? No, it's not. It shouldn't be capitalized because it's Python. Read dot and then split on new line. Okay. So what that's doing, and again, I hope you know this kind of stuff. If you don't, then that's okay. And then what we're going to do is we want to return that with that result. Okay. Return result. Now, what this is doing is this is reading through the file that we pass it. It's reading the line, and it's going to split on a new line. And what that means is over here, what happens is these should be one line at a time. Okay. So let's go ahead and close that. And then, so I think we're good here, right? So I don't think I needed that. So let's go ahead and close that. Okay, that's fair for now. So let's go ahead and close that. Now over here though, back to our spectrum, what we need now is that to come over here. So landscapes repo dot get from file and our settings. Perfect. And that should return it. And the reason I'm doing it that way is because we need to go ahead and strip those down, right? Before you do anything with them. So that kind of works. Let's go ahead and test our stuff just for kicks and giggles. So we'll say print get landscapes. Okay. Now we want to loop through them. So I'm going to do a Python thing where I can start a name with an underscore because this is going to be a temporary landscape and get landscapes. And I want to go ahead and just print each one of those. Let's just do this. Okay. And now what I want to do is we're going to have to pass in these parameters that I was thinking about up here. So let's just do it this way because that also gives us our base, this URL as well. So let's go ahead and put that right here. Python likes to have spaces in between equals. Ooh, nasty. So let's do it this way. Okay, perfect. And again, I use single quotes because that way if there's double quotes involved, it doesn't matter. The only other thing though is we need to add here at the end, we need to say and well, I'm thinking we need to throttle this also because the customer asked for that, but we'll add that later where we can dynamically allow them to throttle. So to do that, you want to do start. So it's and let's see if it gets on new line. It does. Okay, so and start equals 1 And, oops. Let's go back to Postmon because I'm really not going to spell this correctly. Add it up here. It's not there. Give me a second. Okay, so I don't have it. So we're going to try it real quick right here. So let's go to the end of this. Now, I know I can put it here, but I want to type it in. Just see if I messed up. So, and start equals 1. And where's my %? And throttle size equals 1000. What does that do for us? Does that bring us back? Okay, no errors. So we're going to go with that. So we'll say this here. And I'll just put that right there. Okay. And, and landscape equals plus, oops, landscape. Okay. No, not that, this. Okay, now there's an easier way we could loop through that, but we're just going to do it this way for now. LAND landscape. Okay, there we go. And throttle size. I didn't error on that, so I guess that's okay. Now, okay. I guess it's all right. Let's go ahead and just give us another little line here so we can see it. Okay, so that should be, I don't know what these attributes are. Again, I got this from the person who gave me this URL. If you know what they are, great. I have no freaking idea. All right, so let's go back to here. Now we want to get back to our API URL. So API underscore URL equals base URL plus parameters. Look at that. It was smart enough to say, hey, this is what you want. And for kicks and giggles, we're just going to test our stuff in case we have any issues. We're going to print this out. Okay, just like before. Now, we can't bring this back as simple XML because this is OData. But our call should be about the same. So let's just go find our content call, which is here. Okay. That should be the same, other than the fact it's this. Okay. So I want to talk about the next step, but the problem with the next step is it gets really tricky. I went and got this little tricky part. So we're going to put this up here, and I went ahead and from my requirements, I don't want to share the requirements because, oh, I didn't want it all be in one line. That's okay. Let's see that. Because let's do this. If it's all, hold on, let me clean this up for a second. Sorry. Spectrum is really weird that it has these codes. Okay. Now I'm not writing the Spectrum out per se, but this is what this means. So this equals, we'll talk about that in a few seconds, but this equals the model name. This equals global collections. This equals CP that. And I went ahead and grabbed some valid landscapes too. So that way I didn't have any. Oh, come on, are you serious? Oh, that's what these little things are, aren't they? They're tabs. Okay. Welcome to the world of dealing with notepads, right? So let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. And get rid of that. Okay, so those are some valid landscapes. So we're going to use those. Let's get rid of these right here because those are just tabs at the end, I guess, or new line characters maybe in some ugly format. So, all right, there we go. So what we want to do now, there is a couple ways to do XML, okay, in Python. You could use XML as a parser to itself. Notice this eTree from string and bring it in. That gets really tricky because you have to know what each node is. So to me, it's easier just to find these in a bulk. And when I do that, the first thing I think of is Beautiful Soap. So if you've never used Beautiful Soap, look it up. It has many different features for Python. One of those is you could use it for web scraping. You can use it for all kind of stuff. But what we're going to use it is for XML, searching the tree. See, it's kind of like that. So it looks through these patterns, right? And if you look at HTML, I'm going to say this loosely, and it's kind of wrong to say, but it is like a form of XML, right? And see, we can kind of loop through it like this. So we're going to use Beautiful Soap to loop through our XML. So in order to do that, we need to include it. So we're going to say pip install Beautiful Soap 4. Okay. All right. And hopefully, all right, cool. And now we need to install the XML extension, but it really is XML. Okay. And that now that allows us to filter through our data through the XML. So, so let's just do that. Cool. But we don't need an HTML parser. We need XML. Okay. Because that would loop through HTML, but we're not looping through HTML. We're looping through XML. And again, that's how page rendering works. When you scrape a page, you're grabbing, now this is just one of a million ways, right? But you're grabbing the HTML and you're kind of just looping through the HTML. So in other words, hand me all the trees or whatever. Let's put this down here below. To me, it just makes it easier. Let's get some real estate here. And there we go. So the next question is, Tim, how do we do this? The first one is we want to know if it's pingable, but we're not going to do that yet. So we're going to go ahead and start with the second one. And I'm going to break tradition and I'm going to make these capital, even though, you know what? I don't want to make that. I'm going to do an underscore. So we're going to call this model name equals in here soap dot find all. Oh, cool. Well, it's close. Not exactly what I wanted. I wanted to find all these variables here. And no, I'm sorry. It's an attribute. That's why. So let's do, I had to think about attribute. And let's get rid of this. But I need you to find where the ID equals this. Okay, great. That's what we're looking for. Now there's a way to log in. I may do this later to log into Spectrum and kind of see this, but at the same time, just take my word for it for now. Okay. Hopefully you know Spectrum. If you don't, like I do not, but hopefully this kind of makes sense. I was trying to think of a way to show you how to get these attributes, but I've already done the legwork for that. And I know these are attributes. So it looks something like this, right? So blah with attribute equals this. Holy snaps, Batman. Is that what these are? No. Dang it. That would be super cool if it was. All right. I was looking for, maybe they are. They are. So this is just pulling back these attributes. So I'm assuming if I want more, I would just add more to it. Or maybe if I take them all away, maybe it brings everything back. We may try that later. All right. So attribute equals that. And then name would be your, model name. And then, of course, you close off your blah. Okay. So that's kind of what it looks like. All right. And that nasty little script that you saw here, if you was to break this down, there's a beautiful XML that I think I did. Raw, maybe. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So the raw form will show me. Will Pretty show me? It does. Okay, so this is where I found it. Okay. See, I'm learning and remembering as I go. So here's the data. It looks so much better when you don't try to look at the block version. So we're taking an attribute and we're grabbing this one. Okay, so it's this one. and that's our name. Now, one question came up today is, are they all IP addresses? Well, in this case, they kind of are, okay? But anyway, so that's that one. So we're going to grab this, and we're going to grab the next few. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, cool. And I'm just going to go down this list. That one's this one. This one is that one. This one is that one. And this one is that one. It's getting kind of hard the further I go down. All right, this one is that one. Okay, cool. So let's get rid of our fine. Now, of course, the names are going to be different. So this one is number 2, or number 3, actually. Global collections, right? I don't know what I say right because it doesn't really matter. The next one is... Oh, I did this because that's what the column names are going to be called. So let's not do it this way. Let's say model name, and then collection global, and then this one is going to be CAPAC ID. They can be named anything. In fact, you might could trick it into having a space by putting it around in quotations, but I don't really want to do that. So what I'm just going to do is just grab it from here, and that's this one. And we'll just do that. And model type name, that one already doesn't have a space, but we're going to add one to it. Okay, and then model handler. Whoa, we screwed up. So model name, global collection, CP ID, model handler, model type name. Oh, there is an extra one. All right, so we're going to have to see what's going on there because we screwed up. All right, so, I mean, we're going to need this extra one for the first one, but let's see what's going on. So this one, not used yet. This one is here. That one's there. Oh, I've got that one twice. That's why. Okay, so this one, our CPAC is here. Our model type handler is here. Model type name is here. Our model handler is here. Now that should write those out for us. Now this one is a little tricky because the rule to it is if it is pingable, then if it's an IP address, then it should be in a column called pingable. So let's just go ahead and fix it real quick. So IP if pingable. And what we want to do is probably put that into a method that will allow us to test that. So let's go down to here. And what we want to do is maybe create, let's just think for a second. Now, let's just put it here for now, because we may want to move it later. So check IP, and this is going to be IP, not self. We're going to pass in IP as a parameter. And then we're going to say regex equals. Okay, so I cut the video to Google the best version of this, and this is what I found. So what we want to do is make sure that the regex is looking for a valid IP address, okay? And oh my gosh, if you don't know regex, then you're really late to the ball game. So if RE, oh, we're going to have to install regex, aren't we? So import, I think it's just RE. Import RE. Perfect. Okay. So now let's go back down. And here we're going to say if re.search regex IP, perfect, return true, else return false. Okay, perfect. So all it's going to do is it's going to take the IP and it's going to say, is this a match? And if it is, it's going to return true. If not, then it doesn't at all. Now, we'll probably move this to a helper file. So let's just do this. To do, move to. That way, if any other classes want to use this, it's over here. That's kind of the point of the helper files. So let's do this. if pingable. So let's go ahead and make a list here. So let's do a space. So here we want to say IP. Well, but we want to, we'll just do this. Okay. If IP pingable, not really good camel case in there, but that's okay. We're going to make a list for I in pingable. Okay. If, so we have to call it back itself. So if this, okay, dot check IP, and that's going to be our I dot get text. Okay, because remember it's an XML. Bam. Oh, what happened? Sorry. That needs to be there, obviously. Got really ugly really fast, didn't it? So, but what we need is that, and that's fine. So, because what I want to do is this way, if there is more than one, it kind of pins it to the list. Let's see. But it won't be that. It will be dot get text. Okay. Now, why is that crying? I don't think it likes that. So, give me 1 second to think about this. So we're going to get back our data. I'm creating a list for I in here. Okay, that's right. Get data from check IP. Oh. No, that's right. Because it's going to send in the value, right? So get text. That should work though. Because it's not airing out here. Maybe we should just do it this way. Just for sake of arguing. I dot get text. Maybe it just doesn't understand that that's a string. Okay. All right. At least it's not crying, right? So else append nothing, right? So we'll just say this. Append nothing. Okay, and we'll actually say append IP here. Okay, that should work. Oh, that's because that might fail. I don't know. Why isn't that working? Let's try it anyway. Let's just say paste and paste, and let's just get rid of that. Okay, and we need this here. All right, so I'm kind of worried about that. I don't know why. Mainly because this yellow is here. But that should work. So if ping will find all, get that. And that is our first one, right? Yep. Okay, so we'll just have to see what happens, to be honest with you. What's next? So what we need to do is probably take a break. So I'm going to take a break because I'm getting hungry. And then I'll come back and we'll finish Spectrum up. Okay.